Hey guys, the question today is, can I be a photographer that just uses the available light, that doesn't use a flash, doesn't use a strobe? Is that possible? Let's find out.
Click, 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 click and a pick it. Click, 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 click and a pick it. Click, 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 click and a pick it. Click, click, click.
So most photographers, when they start the journey of photography, it's like a ladder or a series and or of many ladders. Now, when I started photography, it was hard enough for me just to figure out what was going on without having to incorporate the flash. And what I discovered is that once I started to get to low light situations, my photos would become grainy and I didn't really know what to do. And even when I did figure out what to do, it seemed like I either needed one of two things. I either needed better lenses with larger diameter openings, smaller f-stop numbers, or I would need to start using flash. Now, that is where the divide comes right there. You're either going to go one way, the other way, or up the middle. Now, I decided to go one way. I noticed that to get into the flash, you could go just a basic setup, but everything I was buying was pro gear. So I thought, man, if I'm going to buy flash stuff, I need to spend a lot of money. I need to buy a strobe. I need to buy some big soft boxes. But then I thought, am I going to use it? Am I shooting models? Am I charging for portraiture? Am I doing that? No, I wasn't. So what was my choice? What was I going to do? Well, I decided since I was doing fine art prints, I needed less noise in my image, so I needed better glass. I was doing most of my things outside, and very little night photography, and almost and zero charge for hire portraiture where I needed a studio and where I'm doing anything like that. So that is kind of where the point that you have to decide what route am I going to go. All right. So my next evolution, instead of having to add light, was to find a way to let more light into the camera to get cleaner shots, better shots. And the way to do that was to go from my crop sensor Canon camera to a Sony a7R III full frame, because a full frame sensor is bigger and it will let in more available light. And then also what I did was I started using the prime lenses, the fixed focal length lenses, starting at 50 millimeter. And at that range, I was able to buy an affordable, I think it's an f1.8 f-stop piece of glass that allowed in a lot of light, that allowed me to do very, very low light shots with zero flash. And to me, it just makes it more natural, and that was one of the other things that I was looking for. And that's the route that I want. More often, if you start photography and you start doing weddings and portraitures, you need flash right away. And you can escape having to buy the most expensive camera, to buy a lot of the most expensive glass, by adding some flash elements. So it just depends on what you're trying to do that will determine the path that is the best approach for you. So hopefully that helped. So I'll show you some shots of the first time I received my Sony a7R III, and I think I had two lenses, and I was spending the weekend in Bacolod City, Philippines, and they were having the Chinese New Year's festival down the street. And I thought, well, let's check this out. Let's see what this camera can do at night. And so all the shots that I had taken in this parade carnival type thing was just with the 50 millimeter Sony lens f1.8. And you could see how clear, how vivid, how amazing these shots work with no light added by me, no flash, there's nothing. It's all just straight click, 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 nothing else. And it really made me realize how good camera and good glass can bring in so much available light without having to add anything. And you can really push it too. You can just keep going darker and darker and darker and surprise yourself how far you can go before it starts to get really grainy. And to me, that was like, wow. It really opened up my eyes to the technology that we have available to us, and it's actually pushing off my learning curve of having to use flash. And so for me, that's another ladder to climb, and it's another huge expense. So at some point I would like to build a home studio. I would like to have that creative zone where I could design a set. I could do people in really elaborate things and control everything and have that option. But it's another expense. It's another luxury, and that'll come in time. So check out my Bacolod shots and let me know what you think. All right, so let's just do a last bit of a summary here for you. So if I'm going down the fork in the road and I'm trying to determine whether or not to use flash or whether to just be an ambient light photographer for a while, what I would do is ask yourself these few questions. Do you plan on making money, shooting people, shooting events? If yes, then you need light. Then you need to go to the light source and start out buying yourself a basic flash. This is the TTS 350 Godox. This is probably the first piece of kit that I would buy if I'm going to do flash. It has a diffuser on the top, and it also will bend. So that's what I would start out buying. And then the second piece of kit that I would buy is I would buy a flash controller. And this is the X1 from Godox. So if you plan to do any model photography shoots and they have a setup where there's multiple lights, or you're doing portraiture, you need a flash controller. So these are the two most important things that you're going to need to start out if you plan on doing flash. Now, if you're not planning on going that route, then it's going to be an even more expensive challenge, especially if you're like me and you started out with a crop sensor camera. You're going to need to upgrade to a full frame camera, which it's big money. And not just the camera, you're going to need to upgrade to really good glass, and preferably f2 f-stop glass and smaller numbered glass. So f1.8, f1.2. So whatever you decide to do, there's going to be a learning curve, climbing a different ladder, and there's also going to be a different expense. All right, so hopefully that helped, and if it did, throw me a like, click subscribe, and let's grow together, okay?